Welcome to the Overflow Mindset Group. Hopefully you're experiencing overflow in your life. So right now it's 2023 and we're looking at the charts here, and again we are looking for an overall recovery for the markets sometime this year really. But first we have to get past tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day, and with tomorrow there's a lot of news that's coming out, and with TradingView, which is a really great tool if you haven't started using TradingView, it's a great tool. We can get a lot of functionality, a lot of information all in one place, and you can use the charts, and in some cases, depending on your broker, you might be able to trade using TradingView directly on the charts, which is really nice. But for January 12th, we have a lot of information that's going to be coming out at 8:30, so that's something to be aware of. So within the economic calendar, it gives you some feel for how important that news might be. Depending on the flame that you see here, a red flame would be high impact news, what we see here is CPI. We got core inflation rate, core inflation, initial jobless claims, inflation rate. So if you click on each one of these, it'll tell you a little bit more about that measurement, so you can kind of get a little bit more of a background. But it's a great tool with TradingView just to give you a quick glance at, hey, what's going on? What could I expect? Is there right now at 8:30 in the morning, we would expect the market to move with a lot of volatility. So you have to be cognizant of that and aware of that as you're either trading or not trading during that particular time period, or maybe you're trying to determine what momentum will gain from this news that's going to be reported. After that, there's no more news for the United States until 2 p.m. So whatever happens in the morning is going to probably set the tone for that day, and so we have to watch out for that. Other than news, you do also have earnings calendar here in TradingView, where you can quickly see what earnings are coming out each day, and you can kind of glance through this list. Taiwan semiconductors, that should be interesting to see, and you have various other organizations, and you can kind of look ahead and see what's coming out. If there's BlackRock, here's a good one for Friday, BlackRock. So keep your eyes out for those. So great tools here within TradingView that can really help you out with your trading. So at any rate, we will just jump to the YM, and YM is the Dow Jones E-mini futures. So that is showing that the Dow Jones has actually been really doing well over quite a bit of time here since about October, and I think it was June where we first saw what we were reported as being relatively the bottom. This dipped a little bit lower than that, but either rate, we're showing some support in this particular zone near this daily key zone, and that's been pushing up, and it's very close to a recovery. When that news comes out tomorrow, we could see somewhat of a dip, but eventually over time we'd expect that dip to just be a dip, and for the market to continue to the upside. So as we watch that, the Dow will recover, and it'll probably be one of the first indices to recover. So at some point you start to hear news about the Dow Jones like having recovered, and the economy is going to get better and that sort of thing. And despite what happens with individual companies and that sort of thing, as far as layoffs and things like that, the stock market could still go up. As you saw with the pandemic time frame, how the things are really going crazy really during the pandemic as far as companies and people's jobs and that sort of thing, but yet the stock market continued to go up in a very rapid pace. And this second wave that we're going to see, the anticipation from my point of view is that this is going to go really high, and will be a huge opportunity for anyone who is prepared to take that opportunity. And again, always consult with your financial advisors to get the proper information about how you should be investing. Okay, so that's the Dow. We have the Russell 2000 looking pretty good here. We still, for the Russell, still below the 200-day moving average, so it's still underwater, but it is above the 50-day moving average right now. Again, depending on what happens with that news, whether it pops up or down, we'll be able to sort of determine what's really going to happen next. It is at a point where it should pull back some, but with news, you never know what might happen. So we have to watch that. S&P 500 is still underwater underneath the 200-day moving average. It's right at the 200-day moving average, as you would guess right before news that it would be at a point of decision and a point of interest. But again, that's below the 200 and a little bit below, is above the 50-day moving average. But we did anticipate that there would be somewhat of a pullback and then a push up to the top. But we did get a bit of that sort of right in this area here where it did touch this particular line right here. And then based on Fibonacci retracement of this initial move here, that did touch the 618 already, which you would anticipate then that it might go up to this 27% level or the 61.8 level. Right now we're just going to wait for the news to see if it's going to try to take a double dip here and then before it moves up. But that's the S&P 500. The SPY ETF will be similar to that. And then NASDAQ, with NASDAQ we see, again, we've established some level of support right in this zone here. And we are right at the 50-day moving average right now for NASDAQ, but it is below the 200-day moving average, the watermark that we have here. So we'll have to continue to watch that and see what happens as the news unfolds in the morning. Ally. So with Ally, it's a good indication. I just use Ally as sort of an indication maybe where the overall market is going as well. And right now it is above the 50-day moving average, which is a good sign, but it is still below the 200-day moving average. So it's quite a bit of movement that would have to happen for Ally to start to move above that 200-day moving average. So right now it still is bearish, but depending on what the news is, we'll see where it goes from there. But the percentage gain to get back to all-time highs would be 121% at this point. BlackRock. So with BlackRock, here we had a counter trend line break to the upside, looking at this 50% from down here. But even if you were to move that, let's just move it up to where we kind of had this breakout, and then let's make a slight adjustment here at the top. See what it take to get back to roughly all-time highs, about 30%. Let's just put 30% there. So yeah, looking at a potential 30% move, depending on news. Again, when that news comes out, you could have another repeat drop down and then the final push up. But this is where we are at the current point. All right. See, Hershey's. These are some stocks that are in a bullish state. Before we go into some of the other comeback stories here, which will be comeback stories in the future, I just wanted to point out another feature of TradingView, which is the stock scanner. So if you are trying to look for opportunities within the market and trying to see any sort of stocks that are moving in a certain direction, you can put in certain rules here and pull up your own stock screener here. So within the application, it shows you stock screener. So right now I have a stock screener that's sort of looking for breakouts above the 200-day moving average, and with the potential to move higher. So if I were looking for that, I could find all of these different companies. As you see, as I look at the charts, you can kind of see how all of these have dipped into the 200-day moving average, but are pushing upward, moving in an upward fashion at the current time. Home Depot, always a good look here for Home Depot. It would be 34% to get back to all-time high, but it is above the 200-day moving average. 200-day moving average, also the 50-day moving average is above as well. So that's Home Depot. Solar Edge, just to give you some examples of breakouts to the upside. And of course, with investing, everyone just looks for things that they're interested in, and companies that you're interested in. But this gives you some idea of companies that are on the move at the current time. So like if you look here at Etsy has been bullish for quite some time here, and the next 50% move has sort of begun in the last couple of days. And in order for it to get to here, it seems very possible. So we have to continue. Again, news coming out, so we don't know if there's going to be a dip before we end up pushing up and finishing this out. But just to get 50% out of Etsy, that's quite a bit. And that's not even getting back to all-time highs. So, and then you have companies like Crocs. Crocs are very promising right now. Again, this is the advantage of using TradingView and having a scanner. you can find these sort of opportunities in what's going on in the market. And as you look at Crocs, you can see we had it marked up for a 50% move to the upside here, and it's slowly going that direction again. The market could pull it back down a bit, and then it takes a little bit longer to get to this point, but that's the expectation. Let's see if there's anything else we want to look at here. I don't see anything in particular, but it really doesn't matter what you click on. All of these are going to be sort of in a breakout state, pushing up to the upside. So trying to see if there's any. Oh, Chewy. I guess Chewy is here. I'm not sure about that. So yeah, showing really good support since back here, around June or so. So definitely showing support and moving to the upside. All right. So different companies. So at any rate, just sort of giving you an idea of how all these are sort of looking. So again, another tool in TradingView. So you saw the stock screener there. We talked about the economic calendar and the earnings calendar. So we will jump to our list here again for stocks, and right now we're just going to our comeback story. So again, these are long-term investments where we're looking for stocks that are really going to come back quite a bit if they were to continue back up to the upside as far as these stocks are concerned. So we'll start with AMC, and AMC definitely is a meme stock, so it is dependent on a lot of things in order to fuel it. But one of the things that is interesting about AMC is that the lower we go, of course, the higher the percentage it is to get back to one of these peaks, either here or here. And so if we go down to $4 and we pop back up, like it did just recently, you could get maybe a 20% gain out of it. If it were to go down to $2 and pop to $4, you get a 100% gain. So you sort of have to play that by ear if you're into meme stocks like this, but we always want to just include this to give everyone an idea of the potential that exists with that. Of course, the closer it gets to zero, the higher the percent gain as it goes up. All right, we'll take a look at SOFI. SOFI, right now, again, this is similar to AMC regarding how low could it go. So have the $4 mark, have the $2 mark down here as well. So right now it's sort of holding at the $4 mark, but with the $4 mark, if it were to go back to all-time highs, you're looking at 500% gain. If we could get down to $2, you're looking at 1,000% gain. 1,000% gain. All right. So let's take a look at Meta. So with Meta, we've closed this initial gap. So we were looking for gap fills here. For Meta, it did close that initial gap that it has, and of course we have this huge gap up here, so eventually it will get there. Again, this is the daily chart. We are still below the 200-day moving average and just now going above the 50-day moving average, so we have to watch that one. It could take several days for that to even get above the 200, so we'll have to watch that. Again, news could change everything and reset things, or it could fuel a move up. Square, looking at Square here, we found somewhat of a bottom at 53. We'll see if that holds through news or not. But again, the percentage gains and moves that are potential here are quite a bit. So let's see. Let's just draw another box here from where we are currently to, let's say, these highs here is 100%. So that just to get back to this high here would be 100% gain in order to get back to that price level. All right. DraftKings definitely has established this bottom. Again, since about June of last year, is established this bottom. It's been definitely several months, but the bottom is holding for now. So we'll have to see what happens with this latest news, whether or not that news is a catalyst to go up, or whether we'll have some sort of major push down before we eventually go up. Roblox, same thing. The daily levels from around the June time frame are holding, but we still are below the 200-day moving average. We're just breaking the 50-day moving average here, so we still have quite a bit to wait for in order for this recovery to occur. If it were to get back to the all-time highs, that would have to be a 230% gain. AMD, same thing here. Definitely finding support, but still underwater, which generally indicates downtrend, until we truly get above that. But as far as the 50-day moving average, it is starting to break above, which could start a new upward trend as well. So, all right, Amazon. Again, Amazon is the daily key zones are holding for Amazon right now, so we have to continue to watch that. We did have some counter trend line breaks to the downside so far. Again, because we're below the 200-day moving average, we would continue to look for downside trend, but if it does start to flip, we would then start to look for that upside trend. So, but for Amazon, previously where we were, it could have gone up. It would need to have gone up 83% to get back to all-time highs. Now it'd probably be closer to 100% gain to get to all-time highs above that. Yeah, just about. Yeah, so from 90 to 180. Yep. All right, NEO is still going down right now. Again, China stocks you just have to watch because of the influence of the government on the companies there. So you really can't gauge as well what's truly going to happen with them. But it is showing some support. Again, in the zone around this area here, so we'll have to continue to watch that one. We were looking at potential 300% gain before the last dip, so we have to see what this news does. But that's where we are. NEO, APE is associated with AMC. We won't really look at that. Netflix. So Netflix, we were looking for gap fills here. So a good company. Again, I say, don't count Netflix out. Netflix is always seems to beat the odds basically and do even better going forward. But right now, it's kind of almost following the line we drew before, but that's not the point here. The main point here is that we're filling these gaps. So there was a gap that was created here. This gap is definitely filled in quite well. We would expect more movement to the upside to fill this gap here. We don't know how long it will take to get to this zone in order to fill this gap, but that is the anticipation. Again, news is happening, but right now we're above the 200-day moving average and above the 50-day moving average, so things should start looking to the upside for Netflix. Right, Apple. So Apple has really dropped below our key zones that we had marked up. So we'll have to continue to watch Apple to get more of a feel for how low that's gonna go for Apple. Again, it's below the 50-day moving average here. It's below the 200-day moving average watermark that we have here, so it's underwater. That's not looking very good for them at this particular point. So if we were drawing counter trend lines, we would be looking for trend lines to the downside right now until it starts to flip above the 50 and above the 200. So right now we could start a counter trend line as well. Let's see. So we kind of be looking at something, somewhat like this. We have to adjust it as we get more price action. But this is if it breaks to the downside, that we expect it to go lower. So, all right, let's take a look at PayPal. So PayPal is showing strong support, since June of last year. This support line seems to be holding as a key daily level for right now. So we have to see what happens. It is slightly above the 50-day moving average, but it is still underwater. And the anticipation here is we have two gaps that would need to be filled. This gap here as well as this gap here. So we'll see what catalyst can push it up and get it going on its merry way. But otherwise, again, long-term investment, 300% gain potential from where we are now to get back to all-time highs. All right. General Motors. With General Motors, looked like we used to again establish that support level seems to be holding since about June last year. We're up above the 50-day moving average, not quite above. It hasn't really gone above the 200-day moving average, which is the watermark. So we have to continue to watch that. Counter trend line breaks would still be to the downside right now until we get more price action above the 50 and above the 200. But if it happened to break below, we'd expect it to go down, and kind of maybe tap on those lows and test them again. Upstart. So we're looking at gap fills here. Now this would be a huge gain if it can go back and even fill this particular gap. We have to watch the fundamentals on this organization because it's dropped so much over this period of time, you know, from close to what, $400 it looks like, all the way down to $15 at the current time. So definitely have to watch the fundamentals to see really does it have any potential to even move up and that sort of thing. So I would advise looking into the fundamentals of this organization as well. All right, NVIDIA is looking pretty good. You got some balanced support as far as like a head and shoulders pattern. Like this might be a shoulder, this will be the head, and this will be another shoulder, inverted head and shoulders going to the upside. But it is above the 50-day moving average, very close to the 200-day moving average. So there's a very good potential there, and is above this key zone, so that would show us some support as well. But again, we do have news which could upset everything and just give us some unusual results based on that news. But that's where we are right now, and yeah, so that's NVIDIA. Ford bouncing off of our support line again and moving back up to the upside. It did break above the 50-day moving average, not quite there for the 200-day moving average, so we'll have to kind of watch this one. But we were looking from these lows really to go 100% to get to this particular point, to this price point. So that's Ford. Then we have MULN again. This was a YOLO sort of play, you know, you only live once type of play, but yeah, you have to play that by ear. It's just a penny stock, really. It's 39 cents. All right, let's just jump ahead to something like Tesla. So Tesla here is playing around at this little support level where we are here at near the $100 level. So we'll have to see how it reacts off of the $100 level. Will it then push back up to this key zone or back to the $200 level? This would be 100% gain. Previously, we were looking for just consolidation, really sideways. Of course, Elon Musk has a lot of influence on this particular stock based on, you know, what he's doing and whether he's purchasing another company like Twitter or just in the news about a lot of things. So it has had an adverse effect on this particular stock. So, but the anticipation is that this will continue to move to the upside as well. But we'll have to see what happens when news comes out. All right, and we kind of probably just stop there. Several other stocks we kind of jump into a look at, but for now, this gives us a good idea of what's going on in the stock market, and you learn a little bit about the TradingView tools that are available. Really powerful software here, and we really just sort of scratched the surface of it. So at any rate, Overflow.